Besides trying to answer the question of creation and eternity of the universe, I've talked about this in other videos where Maimonides contrasts his understanding or his understanding of how the universe came to be, where he argues that the universe is created, and Aristotle's view that the universe has always been there, meaning it's eternal. He also talks about the existence of God and the purpose of God being there. This is one of the questions that he tries to answer in his book. And when it comes to talking about the existence of God, he's not talking from the perspective of whether there is God or no God, as we will maybe have to argue when we are talking about the belief in God and the lack of it. In fact, throughout the entire book, Maimonides doesn't really talk about atheists except one place where he just mentions it. Not so much, just let me see if I can find where he talks about the atheist and what he says about it. I'm trying to get this. I might get it or not. Not in regard, try to tell you why he talks about the purpose of God and how it's not about what an atheist might argue, but rather about his argument is on why God had to exist and thereafter create the universe. Like, why was it necessary? Not really his words, but it's kind of like arguing why is God there so that the universe is there. He's not trying to argue that there is no God but the universe is there. That's not the argument he tries to make. Let me see if I can get that part where he mentions atheists very briefly. He seemed to have avoided talking about atheists because it seems to him like according to him, this is not me. According to him, the arguments by atheists were just nonsensical, if I may use that word. This is what he says. He says, but it will be quite useless to mention the opinions of those who do not recognize the existence of God, but believe that the existing state of things is the result of accidental combinations and separations of elements, that the universe has no ruler or governor. Such is the theory of Epicurus and his school and similar philosophers, as stated by Alexander Aphrodisiensis. It will be superfluous to repeat their views, since the existence of God has been demonstrated, while their theory is built upon basis proved to be untenable. So that's the part I found in the book where he talks about atheists. He doesn't really touch on atheists by large. That's like the most he did talk about atheists. Now, when it comes to, I found this because I needed to explain that when Maimonides talks about the purpose of God or why God exists, he's not talking from the perspective of trying to argue against the points that might be put across by an atheist. No, that's not what he's doing. He's asking from the perspective of why did God exist, and then of course he created the universe. So the argument is that's what so in fact it's not really about the existence of God. Maybe I'm using the word that I shouldn't use. Is the purpose of God. And this is what he says: the question what is the purpose thereof cannot be asked about anything which is not the product of an agent. Therefore we cannot ask what is the purpose of the existence of God. He has not been created. So his argument is that question should not be asked. While we can ask about the purpose of the universe, the purpose of man, the purpose of animals and the stars and the sun and all those, he says we cannot ask the same question of God, because his argument is we can only ask that question regarding things that have come into existence through an agent. And in this case, the agent is God, and then the angels. I've explained to you what Maimonides considers to be angels in another video. So he says if something is not created by God or the angels, and angels here means anything, any agent that performs an act on behalf of, then including humans, then we shouldn't ask the question of what is the purpose. And that's now says God is not created, God is eternal. Then we can't ask that question of what is the purpose of God, or what is the purpose of the existence of God.